Good morning. Welcome in. Your SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your car and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. This studio is insured by one of our local Farm Bureau Insurance agents in Madison. Good morning. Welcome in. ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Man, we took a week off, and it was, I'll be honest, I loved it, but I was ready to get back. That's when you know you have a good job. Love doing this. Love sports talk radio, content, storytelling, all the crazy stuff we do, food, beverage, and so on. But I hope you and your family had a wonderful Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. And we have so much football left to be played, college and the NFL. And it's about to get hot and spicy. We want to welcome in our friend Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. Mike D., Happy New Year, my friend.
Happy New Year to you, Bo.
Mike, I hope you and your family had a great one. I want to start with Bama and Michigan. Is there anything about the game that surprised you? Michigan outplayed them in the first half. Bama outplays them till the very end in the second half. And then we get OT in an epic semifinal game in which McCarthy and crew were awesome. What jumped out at you, Mike D?
That Michigan controlled things up front. I thought Alabama would do a better job there, but Michigan really sort of controlled the line of scrimmage for the most part, and that surprised me. We've seen Alabama with some sort of erratic play on offense, and the offensive line play this year has been at times shaky, and it was yesterday. And you got to give Michigan credit there. They beat them up front. And, with Milroe, you understand you're going to have games like that with him, that he's not going to be the most accurate passer around. But Michigan's resilience, to me, sticks out. They've been caught in the vortex of a tornado now for quite some time, with the head coach being suspended early, being suspended late. Rumors of him going to California to take over the Chargers, NCAA stuff. I think how resilient and how the players on that team, the veterans, sort of has taken this over. Harbaugh, before this game, was 1 win, 6 losses as a head coach in bowl games, going up against the greatest of all time. And, man, they found a way to win, and that's the bottom line. But I was surprised of just how well they played up front against Alabama. That's a Saban and Alabama trademark to win in the trenches. Michigan gets the win on that part yesterday because of it.
Boy, Mike, Michigan's defense, you're right. Michigan's defensive front just gave Alabama and Tommy Rees and that side of the ball just all kinds of problems throughout the afternoon.
Yeah, no question about it. And, again, Jim, the way he coaches and the way his teams are built, they're going to win a certain way. Running the football, putting a lot of pressure on your quarterback, and stopping the run. And for the most part, that they checked all the boxes yesterday. Okay, with Milroe, a lot of times he's going to make a big play impromptu. Okay, off the set. But yesterday didn't have those moments. They corralled him very well in a little bit of a sugar rush on the quarterback part. Not a heavy rush to give him a lane to run through. Sort of pressure, but, man, I want you to throw it. I want you to throw the ball. And so it played out very, very well, and I think certainly late. Michigan, I think, did a very, very good job of football chess up against Alabama.
Mike
Playing them right, knowing exactly what to do.
What a game. What a game between Harbaugh and Saban, and great players on the field. Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. JJ McCarthy, what more can you say? Things were a little shaky at times. That happens when you're playing another incredible team with great athletes, as you know, Mike, 4- and 5-star players, NFL guys, high-end college football players. But talk about his charisma and what he did down the stretch at the end of the game, and to get him to overtime and in that spot to win, Mike D.
Well, if I was him, I'd have been a little bit frustrated. I'd have told my receivers, hey, you know what? I threw it to you, catch it. He had at least 3 passes that hit receivers in a bad place, right between their hands. They didn't come up with the ball. So I give him a lot of credit there. He's an interesting prospect that a lot of people – there's going to be a lot of mixed opinions on McCarthy at quarterback. I'm going to tell you right off the bat. There's going to be a lot of mixed opinions with him. But he's got a strong arm. He's tough. He'll hang in that pocket to the last second to make a throw. He's got more mobility than you might think he has, because he's got some movement skills. I'm not saying he's a great runner by any stretch, but he can move around the pocket and occasionally take off running with the football. But I thought yesterday he handled the pressure of that game very well late. A lot of guys would have crumbled after seeing some drop passes, some missed hits, and boy, starting out, it wasn't very good for him. And he was able to overcome it. That's what you want out of your quarterback, to have mental toughness to do it. And he's got a good offensive line. He's got a good running game. But I thought, man, he put some passes out there that their receivers didn't come up with that they should have. And so to win it, man, give him full credit for it. I thought he did a really nice job in crunch situations for Michigan. He played his best when the heat got hotter.
Yeah, great game. All right, Harbaugh, the rumors will continue, to fester as far as Harbaugh to the NFL. Do you have any insight? I mean, what do you think? Do you think he wants to make that move if he does get the Chargers offer, or he'll sign that big deal that's waiting for him on his agents in his agent's inbox as far as an extension at Michigan, Mike D?
Why would you hire Donald Yee as your agent this late in the game if you already have an agreement which you had never signed for over 6 months for an extension? Why did you sign a guy that's so connected to the pro game? Okay, that's common sense. I can piece that together very quickly. You're not hiring Yee because you plan on staying at Michigan. You hired Donald Yee because you plan on going to the NFL. And so I'd be shocked if he returned to Michigan.
Okay.
I think he's headed to the NFL. But why would you hire another agent if you have a deal already in place?
No,
as being reported by all these guys now for 6 months about he's got a deal. He's got the extension. He hasn't signed it. Okay, there's a reason he hasn't signed it, right? There's a reason. And then you just hired Donald Yee as your agent, who is tied to a lot of NFL coaches. Again, this isn't rocket science.
Are you buying, Mike Detillier on the Out of Bounds show, are you buying that if Harbaugh moves to the NFL, that Brian Kelly would be interested to leave LSU and go to Michigan?
I don't know where that came from, but I'd be surprised. Brian has said more than one time that this is his last stop, and so I'd be surprised with that. I really would. But listen, it gets you clicks on Twitter. It gets you attention. And we live in a world where a lot of people, just for attention, want to put stories out like that.
Yeah.
They have no credible source to it, none, but they put it out there. So again, it is what it is. We do live in that world, but I've heard Brian say more than one time, this is last stop, at LSU, and what he's pieced together here, I'd be very surprised at that. It's not like Les Miles, who had ties to Michigan. It's that you understood that with Les, because he was at Michigan. He went there. Just because Brian Kelly's a Midwestern guy, I think people are trying to put the 1-1 when they're coming up with the 6 instead of 1-1 equals 2. It would be a very coveted job for a lot of people. I just don't think it's Brian Kelly's job.
With Nussmeier playing well, now LSU's schedule is tough. It's pretty damn difficult, I think, in 2024. I saw the commitment that they landed, the Louisiana guy that was committed to A&M, but now is going to LSU. Mike, what's his name?
Dominic McKinley. He's the number 1 rated player in the state of Louisiana. He had been a long time either lean or verbal commitment to A&M. But I think once their interim coach decided to leave to go to Syracuse, that sort of changed the equation completely for Dominic. He's very talented, big man. He's 6'5", in that range. I guess he's about 280 right now, but he's talented. He's got a little brother who's pretty doggone good too. So I think that was a big get for him because he was the clear-cut number 1 rated player in the state of Louisiana, and he was headed to A&M. And as soon as Jimbo gets fired and then they have a coaching change, but he was connected to the defensive line coach who everybody thought would stay at A&M, but then he takes a job at Syracuse. And that was it for McKinley. He decides to stay. So Brian ended up with 8 of the top 10 players in the state of Louisiana.
Okay. Are you feeling like they can look? LSU's excited about a win in the Florida Bowl game, but I mean they're ready to now 12-team playoff and so on. Do you see this roster as a top 12 college football playoff roster? Because we got Ole Miss here, who believes that they're leapfrogging some teams in the league. How do you see LSU as – I know we've still got some more movement, more players to be added, and we'll talk to you week to week. But where do you see this trending for LSU in 2024, Mike D?
Yeah, the schedule, you open up against USC, then a couple of weeks later you play UCLA, and then kind of how it ends, as usual, with an Alabama, but then you end it with Oklahoma. So, and in between, you got some pretty tough teams there. But this is the year that Brian's always pointed toward, that year 3, that he felt as though at year 3, he would have everything set in place to make a hard run at things in the SEC. I think offensively, when you return basically 4 of your starting 5 offensive linemen, your starting tight end, you have to redo things at wide receiver. But you got some talent there with Kyron Lacey and Chris Hilton returning. The running back position, I think you've got a star player there as a freshman in Caleb Jackson, who I think is going to blossom into one of the top backs in college football. Nussmeier yesterday, it looked different because he can't run like Jaden Daniels.
Sure.
But who can?
Right.
Okay? So it had to look a little different. But I thought Garrett showed a lot of poise, a lot of grit, leading his team late and getting a touchdown, the winning touchdown. against Wisconsin. It's all about what he can do on defense. And there are some pieces there on defense, but it's the most convoluted defense I've ever seen at LSU. Confusing with talent and what they're teaching and what they're coaching. And the only people, that seemingly get it is the coaching staff. I don't understand any of it. And they got to have massive changes there because that's going to catch you if they don't make changes on the defensive side of the ball, coaching-wise. It's to see LSU not tackle well, not get to the football quickly. Mordecai yesterday, he threw for 378 yards without his top running back and two of his top four receivers. His best outing ever in college football, he threw for 277 against Washington State. And look what he did yesterday against LSU.
Goodness.
They hadn't been able to get a pass rush. Now, late in the game, I think Mordecai was so shocked. LSU sent extra people, and the last two plays, he went to diaper. I think he was so surprised. LSU had defensive people right in his face, but because most of the game, he didn't have any kind of pressure on him at all. And their defensive backs, I don't know who's teaching this, but I do see it across high school and college football, this mirror approach of coaching and looking right in the eyes of a receiver and not turning your head around. So, Bo, it's not that they don't have some talent at LSU. That's a misnomer. And they want to blame everything on Ogeron's recruiting and now it's Kelly's got to spend more time with the defensive backs coaching. No, it's a lot of it has to do with coaching on defense. LSU hasn't finished this high in recruiting for all those years because they're not bringing in players, is developing players. They have not done that on the defensive side of the football at all. And Brian better make that change. I know he's pals, with Matt House, but you got to make that change.
If he does, who do you have? If Brian Kelly does make a change at the defensive coordinator position, I mean, are you thinking DJ Durkin? If I guess that's a big buyout. That's why maybe Mississippi State didn't get him and the Jeff Lebby tied there. Do you have some other names that you could think of, or you just kind of wait and see what shakes out with House?
Money's not going to be an issue.
Yeah.
Believe me. LSU seemingly finds money if it takes to get a coach. So money's not going to be an issue, a defensive coordinator. I think sometimes you got to make a tough choice here. And I know he has been deeply connected to Matt, and he believes in him. But, Brian's an offensive-oriented coach. And you've got to turn the reins over and have trust in your defensive coordinator. Okay, you had 3 weeks to prepare for, I would say, was an average offensive team in Wisconsin. And look what you got. You got torched yesterday. You got gashed in the running game, and you got torched in the passing game. Most people did not know who Tanner Mordecai is. And even, I think, fans of college football going into this game had no idea who Mordecai was. They couldn't have told you his name or what he did, if you brought him into the police station. I mean, it really. And yet, he looked great yesterday throwing the football against LSU until those final couple plays when they got some pressure on him.
Mike Detillier on the Out of Bounds Show. Mike, Ole Miss is super hyped and excited with what they got coming back and in the transfer portal. And they want to make a run at the national championship. Do you see them as a top 5 team in 2024?
Yeah. I think they'll be a top 5 or 6 team. And a big part of that, Jackson Dart coming back. I think that you see his development and them adding pieces on the defensive side of the football, experienced players, Uh, Again, I've known Pete Golding for some time, and he took a lot of criticism at Alabama. My thing about it is, if he was doing such a lousy job, why didn't Saban run him off quicker? If that was the case, no, he was doing exactly what Nick wanted him to do, and he can recruit. Man, he's a great recruiter, and I thought Pete did a really good job this year, coaching up the Ole Miss defense.
Yes.
You got your quarterback returning. You got your receivers in place.
You got a great schedule.
You got a schedule that's favorable for you to make the run. You got such an innovative staff overall on offense with Lane and what he brings to the table. And now I think Pete does a very good job on defensive side of the football, and he can recruit. And listen, he's a big believer in what I believe in. Really good players make you a lot smarter coach.
Right.
Okay? Listen, you can scheme all you want. If you don't have the people that can do it, you just write on the chalkboard. And them being able to go out and get top people through the transfer portal puts them in a position to make a very serious run here. Maybe, I'll be honest, in my lifetime, in covering the SEC, and it's over 35 years, this returning Ole Miss team is maybe the most talented we've ever seen at Ole Miss.
I agree. Other than it's either better or right there with 2015. I agree with you, Mike. I do.
I think you got a legitimate shot here. Now, again, certain pieces have to fall in place, and with the 12-team playoff, can you stay healthy and get hot late?
Right.
Because that's going to be a big part of it, similar to the NFL now, because you're going to play extra games.
All right. Well, I don't have time, so we'll hit NFL next week. Dak and the Cowboys have to find a way to win a road game this weekend to be the number 2 seed against Washington. We'll see. Saints played well. It's going to be crazy this weekend, Mike. See what shakes out here for the playoffs. But I've only got a minute.
Somewhere Pete Rozelle above us is looking down and saying, this is what I wanted.
Yes.
Meaningful games in the final week.
Amen.
And to have these record number of people watching and listening to games is unbelievable how the NFL is like Teflon. For anything negative, and yet they come out of it smelling like a rose on the other end.
Mike's right. This weekend's going to be epic in the NFL. I can't wait. Mike D, have a great week. Happy New Year, buddy.
Thank you, Bo. Same to you, buddy.
Mike Detillier is on the show, and he's powered by the video wall in our studio, which is awesome. Powered by sound and communications. Do you need a video wall for your business, your firm, your school? All right. Do you need a new sound system? Sound and communications. SoundComAV.com, locally owned in Mississippi for over 60 years. SoundComAV.com. Good morning. Welcome in. Happy New Year from the Out of Bounds Show.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
You ready?
Let's go! 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now live in the BankPlus Studio, where college football meets the all lifestyle.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is
The Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Streaming around the world live at the Out of Bounds radio app and on your radio at ESPN 105.9.
Where are you?
The Zone.
It is good to be back. Had some good time off, but glad to be back in this beautiful BankPlus studio. We are the Out of Bounds Show. We're driven by your next Ford F-150 truck. Mack Hike Ford, I-55 North in Jackson. Right there on the Jackson-Ridgeland line. Mack Hike Ford. Morning drive, driven by your next Ford F-150 truck, pre-owned or new at Mack Hike Ford. Good group there. Talking about some golfers and some sports fanatics and football dudes. Good morning. Welcome in. I'm your host, Bo Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. The Ag Up Equipment text line. Y'all can't forget this. 601-885-3776. 885-3776. Jason, how do you feel I'm doing after a week off?
I feel like there wasn't any rust. I mean, like riding a bike, back in it.
You feel like I'm a professional?
I think you might be.
Okay.
Just like
I've always wanted to be one.
What else did you want to be a professional at? I mean, basketball.
Well, hoops, baseball.
Never had the football?
Yeah, I probably wanted to be a quarterback at some point, but really it was first base because of Will Clark and basketball because of Isaiah Thomas, the real one, the one that played for the Detroit Pistons. Charles Barkley, although I'm a point guard more like Isaiah, not like Barkley, who was a wrecking crew.
Yeah.
Dr. J. Trying to think some of my favorite point guards in Damian Lillard. Been able to see him play live down in the Pelicans. He's even better than you think.
He's insane.
When you watch him live, he is even better. The things that he can do. Been able to watch Chris Paul live. Love Chris Paul. Wish he'd have won a championship. He went to the, we'll see with the Warriors.
Yeah.
Who else?
Have you ever seen like KD play?
No. So I've been to probably 30, well, whatever they were before this, Pelicans.
Hornets.
So, yeah, I've seen LeBron
Pelicans.
play twice.
Wow.
Up in FedEx Forum, which was a lot of fun. And you don't know this guy. I got to see Alex English play in the 80s in Washington, D.C. because Jeff Malone was playing for the Washington Bullets, but that wasn't PC, so they had to go to the Washington Wizards. But Alex English played for the Denver Nuggets, who kind of have a really good player on their team, don't they? But you got to see Kevin Durant, KD, play on your trip to Phoenix, Scottsdale.
I did. Yeah, I got to see.
How did he play?
He dropped 31. So, and I get why they call him the Slim Reaper, because dude is 7 feet tall, but you don't, like, if you're on the second level, even on the first level, I feel like I was too far away to really know how big he is. But just watching him walk next to, say, like the equipment managers or somebody who's like, keeping the police, keeping people off of him, walk into the locker room, dude is huge. Got to see Devin Booker. Also, I
love Book.
Yeah, and
I really do.
I got to see Cole Anthony, who most recently in college played for North Carolina, and then and man, he's a hooper.
Yeah, he is.
And they've got these two.
How many years has he been in the league?
I think 2.
He was on that national that Duke North Carolina Final Four team that I watched 2 years ago.
He was.
Yeah, and then that was a great game, but then they played Kansas and lost. But they had it was a heck of a run.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, who else?
So they also have Eric Gordon on the team.
He can play.
And they have Nurkic, who is their center.
They shouldn't be 16-16, whatever they are.
Yeah, 16-16. I mean, they got some ballers on the team.
Must have chemistry issues.
Yeah,
Culture, locker room. I think Katie's a great player. He'll go down as one of the greatest players of all time. I don't know if he's a, alpha. Like some of the other guys. Is he an alpha? Yes, but there's different tiers. Speaking of basketball, I went to Starkville a couple of days ago and watched Tolu Smith. Have you ever heard of him?
Well, yeah, he might just be one of the best players in the SEC.
I was proud of him because you don't ever know what's going to go down when you get hurt. And he looked great, moved around great. It makes you appreciate Jan's coaching even more. He makes them so much better. But he looked good. He's got to get in some game shape, but he looked good. I was proud of him. Ole Miss is undefeated. Mississippi State only dropped 2 games without Tolu. One was at Georgia Tech, so I mean that's okay. But we get into SEC play this weekend. I know people are still on Lane Train and football, but Jason, Jans and Beard get into SEC play this weekend. All right, let's drop. Speaking of coaches, we love coachisms, and y'all all heard them growing up from your junior high school. Maybe some of you were lucky enough college coach, and some of them were bonkers and they're weird and they're crazy. Right? Coaches are nuts. That's why we love them. They drive themselves crazy to do what? They're obsessed with winning. Lane's obsessed with winning a national championship. He believes some of the coaches that have won it aren't as good as he is. I know that. All right, so this is funny. Timberwolves assistant coach Micah Nori shows off his coachisms. Here we go.
Nothing fast break points. Boom goes the dynamite. There goes our lead. We got to treat Bane like you do the elf on a shelf on Christmas morning. You got to find him. He makes everybody comfortable. He's like popcorn during Saturday night movies. Our paint defense was like 7-Eleven, open 24 hours. Realized they had hits on like Donkey Kong the way they started out. First time all year that we were kind of on almost like a hot mess express.
This guy's good.
No, he's good. This guy's good. He doesn't miss.
Wow. Where'd you find that?
Hot Mess Express. It was posted by the NBA because they were like, okay, after the first 2, it's like, okay, this guy might be a little funny, and then he just keeps rolling. Just like Bob Green from Montana, was it Montana Tech?
Yes.
That same.
Or wherever. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We dropped that right before we left for the holidays. All of that, all those coachisms. Do we have time? Let's drop it one more time. This is, I know y'all don't watch Minnesota Timberwolves basketball. Only Craig Kilborn does because he tells us about it on his podcast. He's from Minnesota, Minneapolis. And Jason likes the Minnesota Vikings. Why, we don't know. But here's Timberwolves assistant. KG's the best player to ever play for the Timberwolves, I think. Kevin Garnett, although they've got some good players now. Timberwolves, I love KG, by the way, man. I loved his game. Guy was a freak.
He was.
And then he goes to the Celtics, and that trio wins it. That was a lot of fun, man.
And his energy.
I love Ray Allen, too.
Oh, yeah.
I love Ray. I mean, Paul Pierce, hell of a player, but I love Ray Allen. I love KG. All right, I know I only got 1 minute. Timberwolves assistant coach Micah Nori shows off his coachisms.
Nothing fast break points. Boom goes the dynamite. There goes our lead. We got to treat Bane like you do the elf on a shelf on Christmas morning. You got to find him. He makes everybody comfortable. He's like popcorn during Saturday night movies. Our paint defense was like 7-Eleven, open 24 hours. Realized they had hits on like Donkey Kong the way they started out. First time all year that we were kind of on almost like a hot mess express.
That was good.
I love those. And the tougher than woodpecker lips?
Yeah. Marty Smith on Will Rogers.
Yes.
Who could be the Washington Huskies quarterback next year. How about Michael Penix Jr., who you dogged about a month ago?
Didn't dog him.
You wouldn't even consider him as the Heisman guy over Jaden Daniels. How did Michael Penix play? How did Michael Penix Jr. play last night?
Phenomenal.
Uh-huh.
Had an excellent game.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You can say you're wrong.
No, that doesn't. Just because he plays well doesn't mean I'm wrong. I mean, I didn't say he was a bad quarterback at all.
All right. The Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Good morning. Welcome in. We're having fun on a Tuesday. Feels like a Monday, though. Weird.